At Juliant, we're with you at every milestone, making it easier for you to shine. So you can saddle up each morning for more than a paycheck. Have the support to expand your horizon, the space to grow your family, and your brightest dreams never have to fade. At Juliant, we help you shine. That's brighter banking. Juliant Federal Credit Union.
Welcome to the Greater Conversations podcast. I'm Deetra Miller, the Director of Member Relations and Engagement at Greater Winston-Salem, Inc. We'll use this platform to showcase our local businesses, our community, and their stories. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the show. I am super excited to introduce you to someone you may not have heard of, Jeff McDaniel. Now, Jeff McDaniel is the owner of Omniverus General Contractors based here in Winston-Salem. Jeff, thank you so much for joining us for the show today.
Thanks for
Appreciate
having
that. Of course, of course.
Can we start by saying that we are actually recording this podcast and all the Gee Whizzy podcasts, as I call it, in the Omniverus studios?
Woo, yeah! And the Omniverus studios are amazing. I absolutely love recording in this studio every time we do an episode to highlight our small business owners. So thank you.
Thank you.
Really appreciate that. And I know that Such and Such Media, Mr. Tim Beeman, appreciates being here in the Omniverus studios as well.
It's my happy place.
It is your happy place. And it just goes to show how amazing your construction is. And I remember when this was being redone, if you will. Repurposed. Yes.
Reimagined.
Because it was reimagined. It was an interesting space, and to see what it is now is amazing. So for anyone that's thinking about starting their own podcast, number one, you definitely need to reach out to Tim. But number two, if you're not thinking about starting a podcast and you have some general construction needs at your home, you should reach out to Jeff. And we're going to tell you why in just a moment. But Jeff, I want you to share with the audience exactly what Omniverus General Contractors does.
So we opened about 3 years ago. And
congratulations, 3 years.
Yeah, and
nice.
We did that because both my business partner and I came out of aerospace, but we spent majority of our time project management. So we figured, why not become general contractors and try to make the construction industry a little bit better than kind of the way it's being viewed today. Mm-hmm. And so 3 years ago, we started the business with basically out of my garage. And now we have a commercial space in the north side of Winston on North Cherry Street. And then we do commercial and residential. So on the commercial side, we do spaces like the podcast studio, or if you go downstairs into the upper lower plaza, we're renovating those as well. And then we've done a dance studio in Winston. We've done a dentist office in Greensboro. So basically any small renovations, 2,000 to 5,000 square feet for commercial would be great for us. We don't focus on building new. We focus on taking the old and making it new again.
Ooh, nice.
Okay. And then on the residential side, our focus is mainly bathrooms and kitchens.
Okay.
But we also do basement renovations, small extensions like garage, 2-car garage. Detached or attached garages.
Do you do like sun decks and things like that?
We do, but
not your wheelhouse.
Yeah,
but
it's not our wheelhouse. And
sunrooms.
Yeah, I would probably, in most cases, if there's a job that we feel like is not in our wheelhouse, we'll sub it out to another contractor that we know and trust. So for one example. Another veteran-owned company out of Yadkinville is called Band of Brothers. We will typically tell our clients, like, contact them first because that's what they do every day, and they're good at it, and so they're gonna be more cost-effective for the client. We can do it if they still want to contract with us. It just may be a little bit more expensive, but the quality will still be there.
Oh, I love that part. The quality will still be there. And let me double back for a second and say thank you for your service to our country.
Thank
that
you.
means a lot. And having veteran-owned businesses in this area is pretty awesome. And you mentioned that while you were in the military, you had project management. That's why you decided to go into contracting. Is that right?
So I was, in the military, I did project management mainly because I was enlisted first, and then I became an officer. And then as an officer, you do a lot of project management that way. But after I came off active duty, I actually went into the corporate world and worked for Pratt & Whitney for 10 years, and then GKN Aerospace for 5 years.
Wow.
So I had 15 years of manufacturing management experience. And so I took kind of that plus my military background and used that to kind of manage the business that we have today.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
So off mic, we were talking a little bit about things happening in the construction world. And you mentioned you're always looking for good subcontractors, and you mentioned the quality of the work you do. So anything that you guys touch has to be quality, and so that means having good talent working for you. Talk a little bit about the talent that you're looking for, and how Winston-Salem has been able to help you find some of that.
Okay. So I would say the construction industry, just like any other blue collar industry, is going through a transition right now. And that transition is the fact that you've got, a majority of construction workers are in their late 40s to 50s. The generations coming up have not been brought up in the trades, so they were told go to college. So there's the schools focused on that. So it's hard to find replacements for these guys that are getting ready to retire. So for every 100 people that are leaving the construction industry, only 7 are replacing them. So that's going.
Wow. Will you repeat that, please?
Yeah. So for every 100 that are retiring or leaving the construction industry, only 7 are replacing them. So it's going to continue to get worse, both for manufacturing and for construction, until something happens, right? Automation, you can only automate so much. You can't really automate framing unless you're doing 3D printing of a house, which they have available. But right now you need framers. So you need framers, you need masons, and that's all hand labor. So it's going to continue to get worse. And these people that are leaving are taking with them that knowledge that they, that knowledge that they had growing up in the trade. They're taking it with them when they retire, and it's hard to pass that down to the next generation because they're not willing sometimes, or capable, or had the experience, the time, the years to be able to do that. So you've got this younger generation that's going to have to start picking up the ball to build all these things that we're trying to build, because the world will continue to need people to renovate and build new homes and buildings, but you're not going to have that skill set. So that's going to die with those people as they retire.
It sounds like a great opportunity to get into construction and those different trades, and especially the different niches that you mentioned, framing, for example. So for some young people listening, trying to figure out whether or not they're going to go to college or maybe go to a technical community college, for example, to get a particular skill, what would draw them to construction? Why would you say consider this career path?
I would say the ability to make money and grow in an industry that's going to be kind of decimated by the fact that all these people are leaving is a great opportunity we bring people on at $20 an hour basically to start, no experience.
Wow.
Just because we need people and then we train them, and we try to train them as best as we can. But these, you've got people that are going into the plumbing trades, electrical, mechanical, some of the technical schools like Forsyth Tech are focusing on those trades, but nobody's really focusing on carpentry, masonry, some of that harder labor type work. And so we're trying to get to the point where we've grown enough that we can actually start to build like a curriculum, and working with companies like, or nonprofits like Hope Renovation down in Chapel Hill, who focuses on bringing women into the trades, and so they get grants and that kind of thing. And we've actually partnered with them on a couple of things as far as like educational side. They've shared their curriculum with us, and once we get to the point where we can actually start training and build that, then that's what we'd like to do, and create kind of like what we call the training playground, where we buy a property and then we renovate it with new people coming into the trades. So I would say for the younger generation, for me, it was go to college, right? Everybody needed to go to college or join the military. So I went to college, didn't work out. So went to the military and then went back to college after I came off active duty. So I have a degree in mechanical engineering, and I'm 2 classes away from finishing my master's in construction management. But the way that the trades have been looked at is, they're blue collar workers. They're not smart people, but in the majority of the cases, they're creative. They're hard workers. They're extremely smart. They just didn't want to go to college, and so you don't have to necessarily go to college to earn a good wage. And if you go into a trade, and the amount of money that it's going to cost you to go into the trades to become a carpenter or a mason or any of the electrical, plumbing, mechanical, that cost is going to be significantly less than college. My oldest daughter went to Embry-Riddle for 2 years and racked up $250,000 worth of debt, and then joined the military to pay it off. My youngest daughter is getting ready to graduate from Coastal Carolina, and she's got $150,000 worth of debt. You have to pay that off over the course of the next 30 years. And you're not going to get a job at 22 years old making $100,000 a year. But if you go into the trades based on your rate and overtime and that kind of thing, you could make, a much better wage than somebody that just graduated college with a degree in history or something like that.
Wow, that's amazing. I love that. I can listen to you talk about that on and on. Oh my gosh. So let's talk about some of the work that you do. Tim asked you a few questions earlier about sunrooms and different things, and you mentioned kitchen and baths on the residential side. Talk a little bit about the commercial side for our folks listening that may be interested in remodeling their space.
Yeah. So on the commercial side, what we love to do is the client, when they get a commercial space, they're paying for that rent, right? So the faster we can get in, renovate it, and get them up and running, the faster they can start generating income. So our goal is to create a plan where we are able to renovate a space very quickly, without compromising quality, to get them to where they can generate cash. Because every small business, as we know, right, is always trying to grow, right? But cash flow is a major concern. So you can take out loans, and eventually those loans are going to have to pay back. So our goal is to get them into their space, get them up and running. So we, like the dance studio that we did in Winston, we started that project in December, and we were done by, they had, I think their first class was the end of February. Wow. And so it was a full gut, raising the ceiling, painting, flooring, drywall work, some electrical work. It wasn't a huge project, but it was something that we wanted to get it done as fast as possible, because when you have like a membership-based job or business, you need to start having classes so these people can start coming in and paying. And the more classes that you're having, then the more money you can generate, and then it goes on to that subscription monthly membership thing where you start to grow your business. And that's what our focus is to get them up and running. The same thing with the dental office down in Greensboro. They already had operations set up on one side, and we were basically taking an old Subway sandwich place and turning it into 5 additional operatories for
nice.
For the dental office. And so we That project took about 6 months to do, but you're talking full gut, lots of plumbing, lots of electrical, some HVAC, but majority of it would remain the same. So getting them up and running, it costs a lot of money to get a dental office up and running. And so just the equipment itself, some of the chairs are $15,000-$20,000 a piece.
Wow.
So getting them up and running as quickly as possible to allow them to double their capacity for patients is huge for a business like that. So that's what our focus is. We're not looking to necessarily become rich off of commercial jobs. We're looking to grow our skill set and our knowledge. I mean, I didn't know anything about a dental office other than going there to get my teeth cleaned, every 6 months. But we learned a lot throughout the process, and so we've made mistakes, but we grow every day and try to fix those.
So obviously, Jeff, you and I are friends. We've known each other a couple of years now, but I know what it means. But can you tell the listeners what Omniverus means?
Like the Latin translation?
Yes.
It's all and true. So all and true is, we didn't want to come up with a name that was like quality renovations or reliable renovations. Like those companies I never call anyway. They typically are not quality or reliable.
It's like when a restaurant puts delicious on their own menu. You can't tell me that. So I have to deem that for myself. Or world famous and we just opened.
Right.
You can't believe.
World famous. Everybody's world famous. Yeah. I don't.
Exactly.
Which is great. Everybody can be world famous, right? But we did, so being in corporate and being in manufacturing and also being in the military for 24 years, we love acronyms. So we did an offsite in Phoenix earlier this year and came up with an acronym for Omniverus, which is the Omniverus Promise. And so the promise is the acronym. So it's punctual, reliable, open communications, methodical, integrity, solution-based, and excellence. And that's how we want our team to act and live by, but we also want our subcontractors to be the same. So we vet our subcontractors, and if a subcontractor is not working out with us, we will get a new subcontractor. And that's challenging because you're always trying out new people. But we're starting to get to the point right now where we're finding very good subcontractors, and you stay with them. But as we grow, we're going to need multiple of everything. And so those subcontractors, they're going to be scarce. If you look for a framing company today, they're booked out anywhere from 6 months to 3 years on framing jobs.
Really?
And if they're a good framer, they're booked out for that 3 years.
Oh my goodness!
So,
wow.
And they're building multi-million-dollar homes and that kind of thing. But we would love to get into that. There's programs out there that nonprofits are working on to do like tiny homes for veterans or homeless veterans, and bringing them, taking them off the streets and getting them a home and building a community-based like tiny home development for them to have that camaraderie of having other military people or veterans around them, but also have services available for them to deal with some of the things that they have to overcome.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Purpose. I think you've hit the nail on the head with what you do there. It's every part of that acronym is what Omniverus stands for, and I absolutely love it. We talked about the commercial side. Tell me about your favorite residential project that you've done recently.
The favorite residential project?
Yeah.
We've had a couple really cool projects that we've done. We turned a Jack and Jill into two separate bathrooms.
Okay.
Which was extremely challenging, and one of the more challenging jobs that we had started at the beginning. But the project that we're actually working on right now is in Winston-Salem. Very nice house, but it's an old 1960s cape, and so when you walked in, I'm not tall by any stretch. Like I'm 5'6". I think.
I can vouch.
Yeah, I think I used to be 5'7", but I jumped out of too many airplanes. But the owner is over 6 foot, and so when he walks up the stairs, he has to duck to get into the second floor. So
Okay.
it wasn't in. We were just going there to open up another structural wall, and then while we were there, we said, what do you think about opening this foyer all the way up to the ceiling on the second floor? We didn't know if we can do it. We just came up with the idea, and then we figured out a way to do it. So we got structural engineering involved, and we opened it up, and we took our time, and it turned out awesome. And so it brought more light into their kitchen, into their foyer, and so that one was challenging, but also it was a great opportunity that the client wasn't even thinking about that they can do. They had this above their foyer, they had this hallway that was going to nowhere. It was going to a window. So there was no doors and no closets or anything like that. So there was really no point of having that ceiling there.
Wasted space.
Yeah, it's just wasted space. So we decided to open it up and then put a nice chandelier that comes down from the second floor, and now it's way more open. And we still have a little bit of work to do there. We're redoing the staircase, and we built a new laundry room. And
Nice.
so their laundry was downstairs in the basement. We moved it up to the first floor next to the master bedroom. So it was more convenient for them instead of having to go down in the basement, which is also very narrow and low ceilings. So,
Very
those
cool.
are some of the pretty cool projects that we've done on the residential side.
You seem very creative, think outside of the box, and no challenge is too small. I absolutely love that. And no project seems to be too small for you to work on either.
Yeah.
So for those that are listening that may have some projects or some construction for their small business and they need someone like you, how do they get in touch with you?
You can go to our website at omniverus.com, which is OMNIVERUS.com, or you can contact me directly on my cell phone, which is 336-448-4195.
Excellent. Now, Jeff, is there anything that we didn't talk about you would like to share with everyone listening?
I don't think so.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much for being here today.
Yeah,
I
thanks
really
for having me.
appreciate it.
I appreciate it.
And for everyone listening, until next time. We know you enjoyed this podcast today, so join us for the next episode of Greater Conversations. By the way, you can follow us on social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn. Be sure to smash that subscribe button. Also, be sure to visit our website at Winston-Salem.com. The views and opinions stated in this podcast are solely those of the contributors and not necessarily those of our sponsors, distributors, or hosting companies. This podcast is copyrighted and cannot be reproduced without expressed written consent of Greater Winston-Salem, Inc. or your toast.